Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I am Mike McRock for the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm going to give you my review as well as the results of last night's WWE developmental show, NXT. I will admit, I was a little bit too fair from last week's episode of NXT because it is such a wrestling-driven type of show. They never really quite focused and developed more on storylines, character development, even talking and promo work. But with this episode, they've done a little bit more. And this episode overall this week improved a little bit more because sometimes you can't have too much of a good thing. Because NXT is such a wrestling driven type of show, I like that they do emphasize on the in-ring work, because shows like Raw and SmackDown don't even emphasize on that as much as they should. So NXT is that show for you if you like wrestling. But to me, NXT would come off a lot more better. It would be more well-balanced and interesting if they would do a lot more promo work and character development, etc., etc. And I like that they improved on this week's episode than from what happened last week. And this was one of those shows where it maintained the emphasis of in-ring work while slowly and developing some characters, some promo work, a little bit of a storyline development as well on the last segment of the show, which I will get to on this review for NXT. So with all that being said, let's just get right down to what happened on the show. We kicked off with Colin Cassidy, hey, how you doing? Versus Sylvester Lefort, one-on-one match. And this was pretty much jobber squash. This was blink and missed it, 20 or not even 20 seconds long. And I like how they developed Colin Cassidy as this 7-foot tall monster like he should be. Now, the only little issue I had with this match is that Enzo Amore just returned last week. And why not establish that Enzo Amore is back and to put him in a match, a tag team match against the Legionnaires? Now, maybe he's not really 100% clear. We don't know the story behind that, but we'll see what happens there. But I think that this was a little bit of a hit and miss type of thing where you do establish Colin Cassidy as this 7-foot tall giant, but in the same time you want to establish that his partner has returned, and what better way to do it than to put him in a match. I think there was a little bit of a missed opportunity here when it comes to this first segment. But what I do like is that the show should kick off with someone who is a cult favorite to the NXT crowd, and that is how you do it. You do it with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. Moving on to the Tag Team Divas match. Charlotte and Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch and Bayley. And I like what this tag team match did is that it wasn't too short at all. I like how on this tag team match that NXT gave this a lot more time, and I like how they used the almost to the fullest of potentials when it comes to these four divas, because usually in divas tag team matches we don't get to see a lot of one or two divas in a tag team match. So I like that they done it here and they gave them more time. And even though this was a basic tag team match, I never really saw anything that really popped out of my eye when it came to the entire overall segment on this show. And like I said, this was basic and cliched where the baby faces work the first half of the match, and then we get to the second half where the heels dominate, and then the baby faces come back, they get their momentum, and then the heels go over. That's basically what happened. Charlotte pins Becky Lynch in this match, and even though Bayley is kind of like the self-proclaimed number one contender, to me this was NXT's way of keeping Bayley safe without having her get pinned in the match, because of the fact that maybe they want Bayley to face Charlotte as the next number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship, and I'm okay with it. And I also like that in this match that they kind of dropped the whole dancing gimmick with Becky Lynch. To me, that's a little bit stereotypical on the part of NXT, having a Irish gimmick of a diva on their show, and kind of just dropping the whole Irish thing about her. So I like what they've done here. It's a win-win situation, even though this was a basic Divas tag team match. I like that they emphasized that Charlotte is not someone who NXT should take lightly, and that they're not giving her the AJ Lee treatment. And that is, in every non-title tag team match, they don't give them the win, having them go over in the match. So I like what they've done here. They're not giving her the AJ Lee treatment, because when AJ Lee was the Divas champion, they booked her in matches where she gets buried every single week. So I like that they're not doing it here with Charlotte, because I think that NXT thinks high on her, and they'll probably end up putting Charlotte as maybe the next one to go up to Raw. That's just my opinion. And also the idea of special treatment as well, because she is Ric Flair's daughter, like Randy Orton is with his second generation fathers that came before him. It's just the way of the world within the WWE. So I like what they're doing with the Divas division overall right now. They're having Bayley and Sasha Banks next week to determine the number one contender, and I'm thinking that Bayley's going to end up winning here. And what they could do is bring back that storyline that Bayley and Charlotte were in from a few months ago and develop it from there. That's the one thing I hope from this storyline and development with these two divas. Moving on to the match between CJ Parker and Steve Cutler. Jobber squash, nothing special. But I like that CJ Parker has changed his music, and with that said, I like what they're going with them. I actually do see potential in CJ Parker, but to me, I like to see more hippie stuff than intensity stuff. I like that he does show intensity in this segment, but I like to see a lot more hippie-ish kind of character from CJ Parker. Just the name alone, CJ Parker, doesn't scream hippie to me. I think they could change that into something else, but I like what happened at the end of this match, where CJ Parker cut a promo, and he talks about having beef with Xavier Woods, and about what he's done to pander to the fans, and says that he will change the world, etc., etc. And I like this from CJ Parker. We need to see more promo work from these NXT talents, and I like that they've done that here with CJ Parker. Moving on to a backstage interview, and like I said, the second part of this show really focused more on the promo work and story development and character changes as well. And I love what they're doing here with Tyson Kidd. He had a sit-down interview backstage with Renee Young, talking about basically what happened with the match between him and Adrian Neville at TakeOver, and his rematch, and about Natalya, and about him being overshadowed from Natalya. And you can definitely make the argument there, because in recent years in the WWE, you see examples of the divas overshadowing their male counterparts. For example, Sable and Herman, and I forget his name because he was overshadowed. Even Lita, when she came in, and she came in with this guy that I forget his name altogether, and that just goes to show that the females with their males are just more into what the audience likes. I mean, even the fans know what talent they see in these people. Basically, what happened was that at the end of this, when Renee Young got to the part where she wanted to ask about Tyson's marriage, he kind of just walked off. I like how they leave that open, and you're thinking, oh, maybe there's problems with Natalya and Tyson. And like I said, I like what they're doing with them. I like that they focus on this storyline development with this heel turn with Tyson Kidd and bringing up the fact that that he's Natty's husband. So like I said, I don't see any problems with what NXT is doing with Tyson Kidd at all. I love what they're doing here. And the main event was Sami Zayn versus Justin Gabriel. And before this match took place, there was a backstage segment where Tyson Kidd was talking to Justin Gabriel about, people going up to Raw and SmackDown only to get pushed down and struggling to work your way back up, and using NXT as a stepping stone to further develop their careers. And this is something that Tyson Kidd seems to be doing quite well, is manipulating other talents. Even though I think that Justin Gabriel could have told the story a lot better in the ring as a result of Justin Gabriel turning heel and turning on Sami Zayn. This was a very solid main event, I thought, but I think Justin Gabriel could have sold it a little bit more to get more of a reaction from the fans when he turned on Sami Zayn and joined the alliance of Tyson Kidd. I like to see a group form, not just the two of them, but maybe more people that have been to Raw but now being jumped down to NXT. I don't know who else, because a lot of talents have been released. But I like what they're doing here with Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd. Not only do they bring them back together, they bring them back together as heels. This is something different, and it's something that is a little bit more compelling. There's a story going on here, and a feud going on, because you have the feud building up between Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd, which will probably end up happening probably at the next NXT special event / pay-per-view. And also, they're focusing on developing the story of talents that were on Raw, dropped to NXT, and wanted to work their way back up. So I like that they're doing two things at once here, and it's a win-win situation. And with all that being said, what happened at the end, where you have Adrian Neville come out and even the odds, and I could hear Teddy Long making the tag team match. Holla, 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 playa. Next week will probably end up being Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn versus the newly fresh heel team of Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. I'm actually looking forward to this match, so I like how they left that open, and I also like how they left open the Charlotte and the Sasha Banks and Bayley storyline here. It seems like that this was the calm before the storm match, and we see this a lot. Remember when the Shield were teasing the split up, and then all of a sudden they're baby faces? It was kind of like the calm before the storm until Seth Rollins turned on them. And now I think we're getting the same thing now with Charlotte and Sasha Banks. This was the calm before the storm, in my opinion. Eventually they'll probably splinter off, but I like to see the two of them remain as heels, because if NXT pulls a babyface turn on one of these divas, the balance has lost now, because there'd be too much baby faces and not enough heels, and the only top heel on NXT in the Divas division would be Charlotte. So I'm curious and cautious to see what they're going to do, not only in the Divas division, but NXT overall. I think if NXT improves a lot more, and what they're doing here with this show, they're doing something great. So I like that not only they maintained the emphasis on the in-ring work on this week's show, they focus a little bit more on character development, promo work, talking, storyline development, and what have you. So overall, I would give the show a solid 7 out of 10. And if you saw NXT last night, what did you think about it? Feel free to chime in. Comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.